Hi, I'm Gumjaw. Mega Man Maker 1.4 just dropped, and we're going to be looking at everything they added in this new patch, from the worst all the way to the best. Let's go. Number 47, Wild Coil. Wild Coil is an awkward, bouncing weapon that was neat in Mega Man 7, but with the plethora of options we have in Mega Man Maker, it's just too crazy to find any use here. No extra added effects either makes this the bottom of the list. Number 46, Shadow Blade. Rounding out the list of Mega Man 3 weapons, we have Shadow Blade, which is a boomeranging metal blade that can fire in all 8 directions. Now with the presence of Metal Blade, do we really need this weapon? I guess it's nice to have completion, but ultimately this is probably going to sit in the Maker shelves. Number 45, Turbo Rotor. Turbo Rotor is an interesting addition to the list of wacky enemies that are erratic, move very fast, and will probably dick you over in the long run. I'm not looking forward to seeing how this guy is used, but he can probably... Someone intelligent's going to figure out a way to make this guy useful. Hopefully. Number 44, Suranatari. These airborne enemies fly in a straight line and then try to zigzag in front of you as you're trying to make your way past. I kind of wish they would go straight across the screen, as we don't really have very many linear flying enemies at this point, but at the end of the day, more airborne enemies is good, right? Number 43, Bubukan, or the Pole Vaulter guy. Coming from Mega Man 3, Pole Vaulter guy, I was excited to see this guy at first, and then playing around with him a little bit, I realized, oh my god, this guy is going to be the bane of my existence. He's cute, he's cool, he's got a neat little gimmick, which rates him higher than some of the other new enemies, but overall, he's probably going to be a more pain in the ass than anything. Number 42, Blizzard Attack. The Blizzard Attack is another ice attack that'll freeze those fire pillars and shoots out 4 projectiles in a buckshot type pattern. Unfortunately, those shots are pretty small and the blast radius is very wide, so it might find some use, but overall I'm not too excited to use this weapon. Number 41, Night Crusher. The Night Crusher is a pretty good boomerang type weapon that, as far as I know, has the highest damage, the widest range, and you can aim it. Expect to see this one replacing all your quick boomerangs and shadow blades in the near future. Number 40, Gobots. The Gobots are another breed of slow-moving aerial enemies that bob up and down as they go across the screen. Did we need another one? Probably not. Number 39, SRU something or other. The ceiling Metroid kind of guys. So these guys are very interesting in that they drop from the ceiling and then explode, and if they land in water, they become these little timed death charge thingies. They don't float in quicksand or the oil, but they're still a really neat enemy that provides a different motion-sensitive gimmick that I think some people are going to really get some use of. Number 38, Cyber Gabegill. It's a Roomba for the ceiling. Did we really need another one of these motion-activated enemies? I'm not sure. But the one unique thing about these guys is they kind of resist your shots a bit, pushing ever forward as you try to pelt them in motion. Number 37, Noise Crush. Noise Crush was one of my favorite weapons in Mega Man 7 just because its neat little reflection gimmick. But in Mega Man Maker, where it has other weapons that just straight out outclass it, I don't think it's going to find much use. Still a neat gimmick, and hopefully someone finds a neat way to put it into action. But overall, this will probably end up sitting on the back burner. Number 36, Frisk Cannon. The Frisk Cannon is a multi-purpose cannon that doesn't shoot randomly or home in on the player. It shoots 3 little shots in a nice little spread that I'm sure many makers will be able to use to clog up various situations until the player can dispose of it. Number 35, Curlinger. Curlinger is a pretty generic, slow-moving enemy that ramps up his speed and bounces off walls. But if you hit him with a power adapter or with one of the punch blocks, he goes flying off in another direction. I'm dreading to see the kind of Kaizo tech that we're going to use for these guys, but otherwise, he's a pretty decent enemy and a nice addition to the cast. Number 34, Tom Daddy, or, the Slinky enemy. These Slinky guys are probably one of the coolest enemy additions to this game as far as a generic enemy goes. They can walk on the ceiling, they can walk downstairs, you can have them blocked off if they don't have enough room to go down the stairs, and while they're on the ceiling, they will also drop down on the player and continue their Slinky onslaught. Really neat enemy. Number 33, Katan, that bomb-dropping fly. While I would have preferred to get the bees or the little bird droppers, I guess these guys are one step in the right direction. As another airborne enemy that flies in a straight line, hey! These guys will also drop bombs overhead. One of the best airborne enemies, I think, that has been added in this update. Nice. Number 32, Gabegill, or the Angry Fish. More fish and more underwater enemies is a great addition to this game. This is a fish that just sits around if it's not underwater, and if it is underwater, it goes back and forth in a little menacing way. It comes in two colors, red and yellow. Number 31, the Yashichi. This ninja star-like item restores all your health and weapon energy just by walking into it. No screen freeze or anything that's going to mess you up mid-jump. Now, while we already have the energy and health spawners, I think this thing is going to go a long ways to replacing those so you don't have to be jumping up and down all the time. Number 30, new music tracks. This is the first time any new music has been added to Mega Man Maker since its launch, so it's great to see all the tracks that have been 8-bitified from their Mega Man 7 versions. Here, take a listen. Number 29, Danger Rap. Burst Man's weapon from Mega Man 7. Danger Rap is an interesting parabolic bomb type weapon that you can sort of control a little bit. And more importantly, you can trap enemies in the bubble and then push it around to detonate later. I think this is going to see some neat effects in other areas of the game. But overall, it's probably going to stay with the super gimmicky weapons category that not a lot of people are going to throw in their levels, unfortunately. Number 28, Bacone. This breakfast-titled enemy is in fact a traffic cone that is completely impervious until it jumps in the air. I think these are going to provide a nice stationary enemy that is annoying to fight, but doesn't get in your way, so you have time to think about it. Number 27, new backgrounds and tile sets. This update brings so many new background tiles and regular tile sets from Mega Man 6, and all new tile sets from Mega Man 7, as well as a splash of tiles from all the other games. As you can see as we move through here, there is just a ridiculous amount of new colors, new backgrounds, new, just so much, the tile sets. There's a lot of them. I'm just going to let this video go and you can watch. We're going to probably have to like fast forward because there's so many that you need to see. Ready, set, go. Number 26, Saround, or the Taunting Crow. This crow is to Mega Man Maker what the laugh track is to Super Mario Maker. This guy, if he hits you, does a little happy dance and shakes his butt at you. I can see him being placed at the top of many a death pit just for the sake of that little taunt being played. Number 25, Kaminari Kagoro. These motion-activated, from the bottom of the screen lightning rod dudes are actually pretty neat. They shoot up fairly fast and then do a bolt of lightning as they slowly drop down to the ground. I think these will have plenty of use in many people's levels, in place of the giant fish, which is a giant pain in the ass. Number 24, Trio the Wheel. Now this is an enemy I can get behind. A stationary enemy that fires slow-moving projectiles at you and then freaks the hell out at the end. That part I don't get along with very much, but the rest of the enemy I'm super on board with. Nice addition to this game. Number 23, Cockroach plus Cockroach Nest. These critters from the Junkman stage are a really interesting addition to the Mega Man Maker in that they have a spawner that's grounded and destructible, and they can walk on ceilings, they can fly at you. There's pretty much no place you can go to get away from these guys once they start spawning. These are a super versatile enemy that I hope to see in many levels, and, you know, I hope they're not too bad. Number 22, Squidon. Squidon is another mini-boss, sub-boss, I don't know what you want to call these guys, half-boss type enemy that you can throw to the game, similar to the cat and the hot dog. He shoots ice blocks that you can't stand on, no matter how much it looks like you should, and homing missiles. He takes quite a punishment, and I think he's a really nice enemy that you can put pretty much anywhere in a level without making it too chaotic, which is the downfall, I think, of the cat, and the dog was just way too abusable and predictable. Number 21, Flame Blast. Flame Blast is a short-range fire attack which drops a firewall on the ground wherever it lands to scorch enemies who try to run through it. Notably, it can also light oil on fire, as well as any future fire ignitable objects. Number 20, Oil. No, not the oil slider weapon, this is straight up oil on the ground. This new utility, I guess, tile has tons of uses. Now, notably, you can put it on the ground where it will slow Mega Man's walking speed, or light it on fire to create an instant death pit, whether it's by your own choice or not. Now, contrary to what you might think, Oil Slider cannot be used to ride on top of these oil slicks. But it can be placed on top of water to have some interesting effects that slow you down, break the surface tension. But just be a little careful. You don't want to get trapped down there. Number 19, Flame Man. The first fire-themed boss to be added to Mega Man Maker since its induction just over a year ago, Flame Man brings fire pillars and fireballs to the arena. He's fairly predictable and not too difficult to avoid, but the fact that his flame pillars will actually go down levels adds a bit of options for players trying to make interesting arenas for this fiery foe. Number 18, Windman. Windman is not the first boss to be able to pull the players towards himself, but with a jetpack style movement and a helix attack pattern, he offers a fresh take on some of the bosses that we've seen so far in this game. Number 17, Springman. Springman and all his wackiness is back from Mega Man 7 to take part in the battles of Mega Man Maker. He's one of the more elaborate bosses that we've seen, hanging out on the top of the ceiling to shoot down his patented spin punch. And notably, he's the first enemy in the game to come with a built-in reactive weakness, where if you shoot him with a lightning attack, he turns into a giant magnet and pulls you in for a bit. Now, he's immune to attacks during this phase, so you can't really take advantage of it, but it's a neat little touch. Number 16, Shade Man. Probably one of the coolest bosses from Mega Man 7, Shade Man is here, and he takes to the skies, swooping down on you and causing all sorts of havoc. This is definitely the most unique boss that has been added in this patch, if not Mega Man Maker in its entirety. He's got a lot of cool gimmicks where he swoops down at you, and if he grabs you, he'll bring you up to the screen and start ripping the life out of you. But just be careful with your field creation because he can get a little stuck. Number 15, the Jet Adapter. We've been waiting for this day for a long time, but Mega Man can finally team up with Rush to form his super suit and get a whole bunch of new abilities from that. The first of which is the Jet Adapter. This gives him a kind of parabolic mid-air swooping attack that people can use as a pseudo double jump and get quite a lot of distance out of it. Number 14, the Super Adapter. Like the Jet Adapter before it, the Super Adapter gives Mega Man an extra little bit of jump, as well as a rocket punch attack for extra boosted damage. This is kind of an all-in-one utility item which has multi-purposes, but just make sure you don't shoot your fist off the screen lest you're going to be sitting there looking kind of silly. Number 13, the Weapon Remover. This does exactly what it sounds like. It removes a weapon from Mega Man's inventory. I think this will be a favorite of Kaizo creators and Vania creators who want to give Mega Man a weapon to use only temporarily for a specific room or challenge and then take it away from him so he can't use it to break other sections of their level. Number 12, Vertical Fans. We've had the fanboys to push us left and right for some time now, but we haven't had anything that gives us that up and down boost that we're used to seeing in so many Mega Man style games. Well, finally they're here, and now we can float up and down to our heart's desire. Number 11, Vertical Quick Lasers. Vertical quick lasers has been something players have been asking for since this game came out. A lot of players like to use the quick laser as a timed gate to prevent players from moving on if they take too much time, and the vertical side of things is just going to let them make that much cooler, filling out sections that they wouldn't normally be able to fill in with a regular quick laser. Number 10, Yafu, or the reversing fan. This is a huge tech boost to Mega Man Maker, and one that I'm glad to see it exists. This is a fan that reverses from forward and back, pushing you in 1 second and then pushing you out the next. Well, we've been relying on fanboys as our air blowing guy of choice. These new things will let us cross back and forth over large gaps with a single enemy, rather than having a series of contraptions of big fat guys on crash lifts. Number 9, Icicle Tech. Just like the name implies, Icicle Tech is an enemy sure to provide all sorts of Icicle Tech levels in the future. These guys drop a little ice spike on the ground that you can use to traverse spikes, as well as any other dangerous floor-like areas. Number 8, Pooker. The Pooker is probably going to be one of the most influential enemies of this next update. Why? Because he turns into a floating raft. Only if you knock him on top of oil, though. He does not turn into a raft if you hit him onto water, which is, weird. But not only does Pooker turn into a raft, but he shoots at you randomly while you're just letting him be his normal old self. This raft can move over top of oil at your control, moving left or right based on the direction you're facing when you hit the little pump top. In addition, it has some interesting physics that may or may not get patched in the future, where once it's a raft, it can just kind of go wherever it wants. Yeah. Number 7, the floor light switch. These are a really unique utility item that can be placed in the room to hide all the floor tiles, leaving enemies, doors, and utility objects still visible. You can use them if you can make the player slide through a boss transition to make a pretty interesting reveal of the boss room. But keep in mind that if the players jump over them, they will remove all the prestige and grandeur of your carefully planned boss reveal. Number 6, punch blocks. These timed boxing gloves can be rotated by the player jumping on top of them, and can push blocks and crack open crack blocks in addition to dealing damage to our hero. They are the non-weapon version of our next item. Number 5, the power adapter. Of all the adapters that were brought to us in this update, the power adapter has the potential to be the most game-changing. On its own, it shoots a few short-range power punches, but when combined with punch blocks and push blocks, this thing really opens up. Which brings us to Number 4, cracked blocks. Cracked blocks come in a variety of different colors and shapes and can be broken open with the power adapter or the punch blocks that we just talked about. Not only that, cracked blocks can contain items like health, 1-ups, energy pickups, and most notably, energy tanks. Like the weapon destructible blocks, these blocks don't respawn once destroyed until the player dies, so you can make some very interesting multi-path areas using these blocks. Number 3, push blocks. Push blocks are going to bust Mega Man Maker wide open, especially for puzzle levels and Metroidvania levels. These blocks with the power adapter or punch blocks can be moved short distances along the ground. Not only that, they can crush enemies that fall below them, and they can ride on crash platforms and other lift-like objects, so you can have a push block escort mission where you need to get this block from one side of the room to the other without it falling into a pit. There are so many possibilities from these. Just make sure the enemies don't start using them against you. Number 2, jet blocks. Long have Mega Man Maker creators wanted a platform that would only move when Mega Man stood on top of it. Finally, we have the answer to that in the jet platform. These platforms have a countdown timer when you stand on them though, so they're only going to last as long as the creator wants them to go, which is genius. Even more so than the push blocks, I think we're going to see these blocks all over the place, providing very interesting airborne platforming, and I just can't imagine the kind of Ultra Star Kaizo stuff we're going to see with the addition of these. Number 1, the Wily Challenge. Anyone who has had a chance to look at this game since the patch dropped will not be surprised by my number 1 pick. Easily the most anticipated and exciting thing in this patch, the Wily Challenge is the analog to Super Mario Maker's 100 Mario Challenge. You can pick from 3 lengths and 3 difficulties to vary your adventure. And while it's unfortunate that they still haven't been able to properly assign levels a difficulty within the actual programming of the game, choosing a difficulty in the Wily Challenge will adjust how many lives you have to play through this gauntlet of randomly chosen levels. Even short and easy modes can get some really trolly life-draining levels, while long and hard sessions can give you some very simple, very basic levels. So it's not perfect yet, but it's still a welcome addition, especially for streamers like me, who are probably going to be streaming this thing non-freaking stop. And that concludes my list of the 47 new items in version 1.4 of Mega Man Maker. Did you agree with me? Did you disagree with me? How would you change up my list? Leave that in the comment below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, download Mega Man Maker, hop over to Twitch/Gumjaw, and give me some of those new 1.4 levels for me to play for you. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video, and take care. I'm Gumjaw. See you next time.